I'm through with standing in line. The clubs I'll never get in. It's like the bottom of the ninth, and I'm never gonna win this. Life hasn't turned out quite the way I want it to be.
Tell me what you want.
I want a brand new house on an episode of Cribs, and a bathroom I can play baseball in, and a king-size tub big enough for 10 plus me.
So what you need?
I'll need a credit card that's got no limit, and a big black jet with a bedroom in it. Gonna join the Mile High Club.
Good afternoon and welcome. It's the Bird's Eye View. We're here in Jasper, Texas with not one, but two of my great friends and heroes. The one and only 8-time, I guess, I can't even count that, UPRA announcer of the year.
Yeah.
Wes Huggins, dude, CPRA, UPRA, you'd have to give him the years at so many times. The Mississippi Madness, Ronald Burton.
Good to be here, brother.
Man, look, getting to hang out with two of my buddies. It does not get any better than this. What we call in the rodeo business the steering wheel. The man that got the steering wheel. Talk about it, Wes Huggins.
You know, that's the thing is people think I got the steering wheel, but you know, the only thing that I'm really doing is just having fun throughout for 2 hours. And I don't know if it's, I don't like to say I have the steering wheel. I think the only thing that I have is kind of the mirrors. I'm trying to make sure everybody is kind of heading in the right direction, and I'm watching behind us to make sure there ain't going to be something creep up on us the whole time. But I appreciate the shout out for being a steering wheel, but my God, I don't want anybody thinking I've got all that talent. I promise you.
Speaking of having the steering wheels,
Yeah.
the portalet explodes last night. Somebody got you full of the inside.
So, what a great act that we have.
Man, Ronald.
But when it is, what are we, like 60% humidity and 90 degrees, I didn't mind that act at all last night. I thought it was great.
Ronald, man, that's one of the things I love. So, me and you've known each other, I guess, 15 years or so, working together at least.
Yeah, 15 years.
Always thought the world of you. You know that. The acts, man, it's always cool, fresh stuff. I hadn't seen the portalet act till last night. I loved it, bro. Talk to us about just coming up with the original acts, man. How fun is it when you get to shoot this dude all full of whatever was in the portalet? Tell me a little bit about it.
I tell you, that's, to me, is the hardest thing about being a rodeo clown, coming up with original stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, whatever you think of, somebody has already done it in rodeo. So to me, the key is to take bits and pieces of what you've seen from some of the guys in the past, some of your heroes growing up. Try to utilize a little bit of that without copying them.
Right.
And this Royal Flush Act, as we call it, man, you know, growing up, like you, all the clowns had cars that would pop wheelies.
Yeah.
So I stayed away from that for a long time because you've seen it. And I found this car, and I said, I want that car, but I got to come up with something different. And I kind of want to get away from the clown car breaking down, you know, the batteries back and generator generating, because still good classic stuff. A lot of good clowns still use that stuff, but I wanted to be different, and kind of got away from that, man. And the cool thing about it, when, like you, first time you saw it, people that know rodeo say, oh, I've never seen nothing like that in rodeo, man.
Yeah,
But, to come up with something cool. And the thing is, I can't take all the credit for it. I didn't come up with all of it by myself. I had the general idea, but it's friends like Wes, friends like you, that say, hey, man, that's cool, but try this and tweak on it a little bit, and it turned into what it is now.
So is it the Canooter valve? Which kind of valve is it we're talking? I think you broke it out last night, I even heard.
The Canooter valve, man.
Did you take it off of the car to put onto this rig? Or?
Look, you just drop it down through the pipe straight to the Canooter valve, and it.
Yeah, I heard it last night, man. I got tickled. I didn't know it transferred over.
Oh yeah, you know, that's a rootin' tootin' Canooter valve. You know, it's like me. It works 24/7.
The best part about it last night, he actually got me on a new one during that act, because you said something about me and you could go in partners on this
deal.
deal.
We could be potty pals.
Potty pals. Well, I lost it. And everybody else probably like, well, what's the big deal? Well, there's just something about being a potty pal that made me giggle. So
it does. It makes me giggle right now.
Yeah.
You were talking about your heroes doing it. I know a couple of your heroes. For those that don't know, man, tell us a couple of those heroes you talk about.
Well, first and foremost, the great Rudy Burns.
Amen.
One of a kind,
Mississippi.
man. One of a kind, Rudy Burns. And I'm so fortunate that Rudy and I have become really close friends. I bet we talk 5 or 6 times a week. And the cool thing about
A day, probably.
yeah, actually, having a legend like that guy call me and say, "Hey, I can't go do this rodeo. Can you do it? What's your schedule?" Or "Hey, I heard a good joke, man, that you can use in the rodeo," and he'll tell
Has he
me.
ever hit you with, "Hey, Ronald, what do you think of ...
Oh yeah, yeah, and then
That's cool.
And then there's he'll say, "Hey, I got one. I think I'm gonna try. What do you think? Can we get
Yeah.
away with it?" And if I think it's over the line, I'll be like, "Yeah, Rudy, you can tell that one."
Yes.
You know,
We're going to get back to some more of yours.
I tell you what, mine are always the greats, and it's probably the same greats everybody else has. But Boyd Paulinus, when he was starting out, he was working with Bad Company Rodeo.
I've heard of him.
Yeah. I mean, the legendary Bad Company. The thing about it is Boyd was announcing a college rodeo when I was a kid, and just the way that he controlled that crowd, I loved it.
The master.
Bob Tom and the Hadley Barretts and all those, and then now you've got the Andy Stewart, the Wayne Brooks, and all those guys, and all of those guys are my heroes because they are so cool on that. That voice starts, and that's rodeo.
Yeah. Hey, you're one of those guys.
Oh man.
To me, you're one. I mean, you know this, man. Not only a dear friend of mine, I call for any direction I really need. I know you're gonna give it to me straight, man. You know you're a hero of mine. I love the way you do it. I never thought about being an announcer, and then guys like you, man. It just when I decided I wanted to do it, it was like, I'm gonna steal from these guys.
Oh, yeah.
And I couldn't do it, so I came up with my own thing. But at the end of the day, man, you are the benchmark that I set my
Well, I appreciate
standard to.
that.
He makes it look so easy.
He does.
Y'all didn't see me sweating last night, apparently.
I'll say the bareback ride seemed to appear easier for him than the barrel racing. By the time we got to the barrel racing, I think we were all a little warm here in Jasper.
Oh yeah.
This is hard on the West Texas boy.
Yeah.
It is hot here.
Ronald, back to you, man. So some more of those heroes we talk about. I know how tight you and Rudy are. Is it now you just kind of you one of the guys? You know, been one of the guys.
A lot of people tell me that, man, but I don't feel that.
See,
you know what? I'm still in awe of these guys. Another one that pops to mind, the great Quail Dobbs.
Oh yes.
Man, I never got to meet Quail, but I talked to a lot of people that was friends with him, friends with his family, and they said that guy was so unique in and out of the arena. One of these guys that he could drive up out here right now if he was still with us and get out and not know any of us, but you immediately love Quail Dobbs.
Exactly.
Boy, Hadley had that about him, man. Hadley was an elder guy when I was young, so I always thought of Hadley as the old guy. Man, when I first met Hadley Barrett, he was the coolest cat I've ever run across the rodeo, and he's like, like a 20-year-old. He knew all the hip stuff.
He did. And sing, boy, could he sing.
Oh yes, he could.
Now there was some old schoolness in that singing. Yes.
You know, the coolest thing about those guys, Hadley, Quail, any of those guys like that, I consider myself, especially when I first started out, like a nobody. But I could walk up to those guys and they would treat you like somebody.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
They would bring you in. They would make you feel like you belong.
Yeah.
Right.
And to me, that goes a long ways in their legendary status.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Man, so while we're on that subject, one of our buddies doesn't seem so approachable of a guy. Danny Reagan. What about United Pro Rodeo's very own Danny Reagan while we're talking about those type of guys?
I got to tell you that Danny Reagan, when your phone went off, I got to make sure I didn't want to call him while we were here. But so Danny Reagan and I are really good friends, but we don't tell everybody we're good friends because he's got quite he's got the persona that he's hard. But I'm going to tell you something. I've never met a man that has the biggest heart that he does.
Absolutely.
He is a great guy. He's got great son, his wife, and everybody is just the united crew. So y'all know this. As an announcer, when you talk about like a contracting company and you're like, oh, the crew, but United has a crew. And that crew is 90 miles an hour once we say go.
Yeah.
And I mean, that is
all
on the same page. There's a lot to be said about an announcer that can work with somebody that doesn't have to look at the stock contractor during the rodeo because you know exactly where we're going.
Yeah.
And what's so funny about it is, we'll just say it right here, for so many years everybody thought Danny was just a bull guy, but let me tell you something. Uh-oh, what are these? Are these bucket horses? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, me and Danny have had that conversation a bunch, you know. At first it was like, Danny, it doesn't matter how many good horses you have right now. The bulls you have were so good, you're just going to have to suffer through it. But, man, it didn't take long for people to realize.
Yeah.
Man, when you're like Danny, and I'm going to say it, no offense to anybody else in the world of rodeo, Danny's probably my favorite guy out there. Just for how he is. Yeah. He's going to tell you where you stand with him, first of all.
Right.
You said the dude is super giving. I mean, just easiest to get along with, and probably till he's not.
Yeah.
And then, I will say, he's a lot funnier than most people ever know.
Absolutely.
You know, last year was the first year I'd really worked for Danny. I think right after I got my permitter card, we did a deal for Will's Point. I mean,
yeah.
But I wasn't around Danny until last year because I worked several rodeos, West and I did, and I got to see a touch of the funny side of Danny that people don't get to see. Now, when the guy's even funny, he's still kind of intimidating.
Oh, yeah.
Because this jackwagon right here kind of put me in a couple of predicaments last year.
Let's tell that story.
Let me tell this story. So, if you know Danny, it's hilarious, and if you know Ronald, it's even hilarious. But we were so excited because one of my favorite rodeos is Cleveland, Texas, and one of the places I got my start several years ago. And what I loved about it is Ronald pulls up, and Ronald fought bulls there for years, but he got to return back as the barrel man. And so, it's so cool, So Ronald pulls up, and he's got his trailer and everything, and he goes, "Hey, where do you think I ought to park this trailer?" I said, "Man, if I were you, I would just park it right here." And he goes, "You don't think I'll be in the way?" And I said, "Absolutely not, dude. Everybody's going to be cool with it. Just park right there." So he parked his trailer and everything. Well, Danny and United Crew, when they come into town, they have the big United trailer that we have our production meetings in.
It's the sweetest big rig.
Is that not the coolest thing in the world?
Man.
So here comes the United trailer, and I cannot wait because I know that Danny's getting ready to park. So Danny comes in there, and he's, "Hey, guys, how's it going?" "Good, good." He's looking around, fixing to park that trailer, and he goes, "Whose trailer is this?" And I said, "Ronald," and I told him not to park there.
What? Do I need to move?
So it was the highlight of the whole weekend to me. And Danny goes, "Oh, it ain't no big deal," but just to watch because of that persona of Danny Reagan, it was hilarious. So.
And then,
that's what I love about friends like y'all. I mean, that's the funnest part of being friends.
Might as well go ahead and tell about Danny feeding.
Okay, so I didn't know if we wanted to let that one out, but this one was pretty funny too. So we were kind of joking around, and everybody knows in rodeo sometimes you're a committee hire, sometimes you're a contractor hire. It just kind of depends where you're at. And so we got down, and Danny's crew starts headed back to the rooms and everything. And I said, "Danny, what are you fixing to do?" And he goes, "Oh, I got to go over here and feed these horses or whatever and water them." I said, "Oh, okay." While Danny's walking off, I looked at Ronald and I said, "Boy, that's the best thing about working for a committee." And he goes, "What's that?" I said, "I don't have to go over there and help the contractor feed. Danny likes people to help him feed when they hire him." And Ronald just sits there, "Yeah. Oh gosh, and he takes off running towards Danny, and I said, whoa, I'm just kidding. And it was just, from day one, we were hitting it. So,
which I had you tell that part of it just to let everybody know that I don't make a habit of feeding.
That's exactly right.
Hey, I will feed myself anytime, day or night.
But if you fed us last night,
you did.
You fed us last night.
Yes. Let's just put that on the deal that we don't feed, we don't wrap steers, we don't do a whole lot.
But that United Crew, man, like Wes said, once that rodeo starts, there's no pumping the brakes. It's wide open.
Yeah.
And it's just a good smooth run deal and a lot of fun. And if you're where you're supposed to be doing what you're supposed to do, there's not a problem.
I find Wes Huggins does his best work when it's like that.
Yeah, I do a little bit of that. But it's so easy. I mean, when you work with somebody like Danny and you know what he likes.
Yeah.
It's so much easier on my job because when I'm helping with production, I know exactly where he wants to be, and it just flows.
So the Cowboy Channel, man.
Yeah.
You're a big time celebrity. Me and Ronald still just trying to make it, but so the Cowboy Channel, man, you're talking about a whole different beast.
Yeah.
It's a lot of structure. It's a lot of not sometimes being able to be Wes Huggins. Is that okay with you?
Well, it's a toss-up because when they first talked about doing the Cowboy Channel, and all of us announcers were talking about it, one of the things that
I got left out of that.
no. Well, we were all in a room. But when they first talked about doing that, they said they're going to be showing these rodeos live and things like that. And the very first thing that came to my head is the people watching at home are not going to feel the experience that we're feeling live. And so I'm debating on who is my crowd that I'm talking to. Am I talking to them at the house, or am I talking to them in here? And so I kind of decided right then that, the rodeo committee is the one that hired me, and nothing against the Cowboy Channel at all, but I'm hired by the committee. And so I'm going to give them the best show, and y'all get to tag along and be part of it. The only hard part is I wish that there was a little bit of education for the average rodeo fan that doesn't understand that there's a reason we're going to the Kiss Cam. It's because we have a little downtime. There's a reason why the sound man is playing a sing-along. It's because we have a little bit of downtime, because the Facebook mafia gets on there and says how much they hate a clown because he's talking, or they don't like this announcer because he went to that. But you're not there to see what's happening. But on a positive note, the Cowboy Channel has taken rodeo to a whole new level of entertainment, to the point of anybody can watch some of the best rodeos in the world.
Yeah. And it's awesome to be a part of that, right?
It is awesome to be part of that. It is awesome. To me, when you work a town that's being televised by the Cowboy Channel, first off, your town is already excited. And I don't know if other announcers do this, because sometimes they don't kick on until right before the rodeo starts. But like me, I tell that crowd, listen, we're fixing to be on the Cowboy Channel. Fix your makeup, put on your lipstick, and don't sit by somebody you're not supposed to. But we're fixing to be live here in just a minute. If you have never been on TV, how cool does that make you feel that in 2 seconds there's a chance I'm fixing to be on TV? And you can watch that crowd get ready. You can watch them get, excited. They get their drink. And I tell them, when you hear my voice next, we're fixing to go live. And once we go live, that crowd goes, and it just sets the pace for the whole rodeo.
Have you ever done it at a live event?
To tell them that we're live and we're not.
Just to get them pumped up.
I have done that once. And a little old lady came and wanted to know what the link was to find it, and that's when I realized maybe I shouldn't say that all the time, because no joke. So yeah, you have to watch it.
So we were talking about things clicking, the crews clicking. You touched on it a bit. Working with Ronald Burton. Mm-hmm. Working with Cameron Keaton on the shows. Man. What's that like? Let's all talk about how cool that relationship gets to be.
I'll speak on my side first. A person like Ronald makes my job way easy, because, and I'll just say it right here, there is not very many clowns that can watch the arena and know when they're needed anymore. There is not walk and talk like there used to be. And some of them are limited, don't get me wrong. But a clown that can watch that arena and can tell that the announcer can't see something going on underneath, they can jump in there, it is worth $1 million. Because a guy that has rodeo knowledge and is funny is worth every dime that they spend, and they need to pay him more.
Yes, sir.
Cameron Keaton taught me a lot about that, because Cameron would tell me, I don't want to be over you, I don't want to do anything. But if Cameron ever jumped in there, he saw something that I didn't know, and he taught me to let that clown take it just for a second, because he's going to help you out. And it worked great. Ronald's the same way.
Is it fair to even say that Cameron somewhat Cameron made you the announcer? Somewhat has something to do with the announcer you are.
I will say that, because he was he still is one of my best friends, because Cameron, at a very young age, with me, when they told me I was working with Cameron Keaton, I said, uh-oh. And they said, what? I said, well, I don't know him that well. And he said, oh, he's a nice guy. But when Cameron rolled in and he had his picture on his trailer, and everybody's like, oh, there's Cameron, I went, okay, it got real. Okay. And I'm young, and I was like, oh my gosh. But Cameron what we did is,
had a blast.
We had a blast. and we had one rodeo one time, and we're telling stories, right? We had one rodeo one time that the committee came to Cameron and I on Thursday night, and they said, hey guys, can y'all tone it down just a little bit? We said, what are you talking about? Well, there was a few people that said y'all might have been a little too wild. Cameron goes, well, you ain't gonna like what we're gonna do tomorrow. And so the next night, it was surefire. Everybody, this Cameron Keaton, and he I was like, uh-oh. So me and him both were like, oh gosh. And so I followed his lead, but for so long I was following his lead on things. And after we got done with the rodeo, that committee guy goes, I don't care what happens, y'all go back to the way y'all were because that sells way more tickets.
Yeah.
And so,
No doubt.
but yeah, he's done, and I think that's what's kind of cool with Ronald and I is we had known each other for so many years. That first rodeo that you and I had worked together, we were trying to feel ourselves out, and then you and I had worked one, and then it just, to me, it just clicked.
It did.
So
It did when we both are having fun.
Yeah.
And what I like so much about it, especially working with him and guys like him, there's no ego in that announcer stand. There's no ego on that arena floor between the two of us.
Yeah.
We both can be the butt of the joke.
Mm-hmm.
It's
a team.
our
It's a
job.
band. It feels like hear me, Mario playing music here. It's like I'm part of the band here, which is like it's cool, I'm just trying to do my small part because I know where the entertainment's at. Y'all getting along like that, and it's like, boy, when it becomes a battle, we've all been through those battles with guys.
Oh, yeah.
Man, it gets unfun quick.
it does.
It's see to me, and I don't know how other clowns look at it, but to me, I'm not the star of this show. I'm here to smooth out the rough spots if there's any. That's what I'm here for. If I can bring a smile or a laugh, good deal. But I'm not to be the center of attention at this rodeo. And my time to shine is my opening joke and my specialty act, because that's when the rodeo stops for me. So the rest of the time, I don't need to take the attention away from everything going smoothly.
Sure, Eddie.
But I'm ready.
That's it. That's what I was fixing to say. Because when he needs to take that attention, he can
He's
take
there.
it, and he's strong and he's confident with it.
You talking about him being a walkout when the rodeo breaks down? It's really before it even breaks down. I think is how you were, but we both understand it as. So before it breaks down, Ronald's on it. Jonesville, Louisiana, years ago, Ronald's going to rodeo for us. Calf roper breaks a rope, ambulance hauls him out, we're waiting on an ambulance. A 20-minute breakdown in a rodeo is what you would call life-threatening.
Absolutely.
In my shoes at that time. This man right here, Ronald Burton, before the ambulance was out the arena, he had the foresight to know that we were waiting on an ambulance, first of all. That in itself says enough. But that he had everything that we needed to get through that 20 minutes. The show you put on in that 20 minutes, and TC Long, we're going to throw him in there. He was part of the show for that 20 minutes. Blew me away, Ronald Burton. We talked about it that night. Every time I see you, we talk about it, man. That was what you call saving the rodeo.
Well, I appreciate that. And I honestly don't even think the crowd knew that there was a...
They were upset when we got back to tie-down roping. I'll say it if you don't want to. They were most unhappy that they had to quit playing kickball.
Yeah. But I think, like the three of us sitting here, I mean, you playing music, West announcing, and me doing the clowning, it's, it starts with him. And it trickles down to you and me. We're the support system. And when he needs us, that's when we're supposed to jump.
Yeah.
We're not supposed to leave him hanging.
I was trying to give him a couple of breathers, like as a team rope, but as that heat was setting in, I was trying to turn it up on him a little bit, give him at least a couple press in there.
Well, and that's the positive thing is when you have somebody that knows if you can pick up on those things that somebody's trying to help you, let them help you.
Yeah.
And I think you hit the nail on the head with that ego thing, because I know there's a lot of announcers that think they want to listen to me talk. They don't want to listen to me talk. You know what I mean? They don't want to. They want to hear me entertain and like bring it to you. But
what the thing to me is, so last night, man, or the opening of any night we go to a rodeo, it's like the opening and the prayer, the patriotic thing, the welcome, that whole spiel. Every announcer better show up knowing that they need to deliver that.
right.
Is it about you? No, it's not about you, because the way I look at it, the older I get is, so you be over here, they're going to go home, they're going to say, man, Ronald Burton, the clown was funny. Boy, the clown was good. Man, the clown wasn't good. The clown was funny. The clown wasn't good. If we do our jobs right as an announcer, they're going to leave and they're going to say, man, the rodeo was good.
That's right.
But if we suck, they're going home and they're saying, the rodeo sucked.
That's right.
That's how I feel.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I forgot who it was. Somebody said one time that like the announcer, the sound man, and the clown is like a tripod. and if one leg of that tripod breaks, it falls.
It falls, yeah.
So it's very important that we work as a team.
And he's spoiled. Let's face it. He got Walker. He got the sound machine of the sound. I mean, he got Walker. He comes over here, and so now in my lifetime, I have run sound twice. Both for Wes Huggins at this rodeo. I've made it pretty clear to everybody involved that Wes Huggins is the only person I would run sound for.
Yeah, you even told me that.
Yeah, I mean, the boss, whether it be the committee or the contractor here, both know the same thing. So I would run sound for Wes Huggins, absolutely. I'd do an act for Ronald.
Yeah.
Probably wouldn't want to do one, but I would do
Right,
it.
I would do one.
So,
That's
you have to
good
do a
to
couple
know.
tonight.
Yeah.
I'm going to make notes of it.
So last night I got to even run some clips in your act. Boy, I was nervous. I don't get nervous much, but I was nervous that I was gonna mess up one of your damn clips. So when people, they see Ronald, they see the makeup, man, you got them laughing, you doing cool acts. What people have no idea about is the hard work that it takes for these props, these setups, the time to perfect your craft. Ronald Burton, talk to me a little bit about that, brother.
Well, man, and in my opinion on these props and stuff like that, to be a dang rodeo clown that's going to pack acts, that's going to haul bigger acts, you almost got to be a carpenter, electrician, a welder, you know, halfway insane to come up with some of that crap. But the prep time and all that, and I think a guy needs to do an act 20 to 25 times before he gets comfortable.
Yeah.
And perfects it.
Oh, yeah.
You can tweak on that act. And this
Even
act
with
that-
2 or 3 announcers, boy, that doesn't hurt either, you know,
No.
having to throw it around like that.
Yeah, like that act last
Because
night.
of course it's good with West.
Oh,
Come running with me, you know, it's like,
no,
No,
not all the
no,
time.
I'm gonna tell you a little magic act.
I've never lived this one.
So
things go
I,
south at times.
I do this little magic act sometimes, and it's where I make a bird appear out of nowhere.
I see it.
Well, yeah, you've seen
Started it in Crowley, Louisiana, if
Yeah.
I'm not mistaken, very
Yeah.
first time it was doing.
it. And the line in the act is, you know, I'm trying to make a rabbit appear, and the announcer wants me to do something more unique, and he says, "Why don't you make a bird appear?" You know, that's his line, and you know, I say, "No, I'm gonna make a rabbit." You know, and we go back and forth, and finally he gets mad. He says, "Give me the bird." And so I go to act like, and that's when he stopped. Well, we got to the point to where I keep trying to do the rabbit, and he's supposed to say, "No, make a bird appear." Well, I get to that point, and he don't say it.
I thought I messed up when he said, "What about a rabbit?" And I went, "Uh-oh."
Yeah. And anyway, so I'm thinking, how do I cue him to let him know he's supposed to say, "No, make a bird appear"? So I go back, I say, "But you know the rabbit's got funny ears, you know, whatever." And he goes, yeah, rabbit looks good. And I'm going, and I'm thinking, so finally I go, "Yeah, man, I can make," and I kind of do like this, without, and I look up in the announcer stand, and he's going, and I'm like, "Oh, bird."
Hey, did you ever cross your mind to stop and say, "Wes, you're supposed to say a bird"?
Yeah.
At that point, I was too panicked to think there. But to look up there and see him doing it, what?
I've never seen that act all the way through, by the way. He's never brought it back out with me, so I don't know if it's good or not. So.
But you know what? When there's little mix-ups like that, when you man, it makes it so much fun. Because, here's the deal.
And trying to mess each other up, man, that's the funnest to me, you
Here's
know.
the deal. In my side of it, if something malfunctions and I can't roll with it, I'm in the wrong business.
Yeah.
You know, if I get pissed off because something didn't go right in there, I'm in the wrong business, man. Because if I get pissed off, even though I may not say anything, I feel like the people can sense that.
Oh, yeah.
And so
I faced some of that recently, you know. Just wanting to fight through it, but being frustrated sometimes
Yeah.
to explain.
It's hard.
It's a real
So,
thing.
yeah, you know, people talk about all the time, "Oh, being a rodeo clown's so cool." Well, like you were touching on, what the people don't see is we show up a day or two early.
Been to radio stations, schools.
We pull this stuff out of the trailer. We shine everything up. We make sure all the lights are working. We do a dry run of it.
Safe to say 4 hours of work goes into every performance just on building props and,
Yeah,
and
getting
what we're going to
stuff
call
ready.
sights and sounds of it.
And sound checks in the
check.
arena. You know, There's
trying
a
to
lot-
sound check, got to get to a parade. I mean, you face these battles that, I mean, people have no idea how much is really taking place.
The rodeo fan that buys a ticket to come to the I think, I mean, you know, there's some that's knowledgeable, but I think that I would say 7 out of 10 people think that we just show up and have a rodeo.
Absolutely.
Oh, let's haul some bulls and horses
Yeah.
in here and let's do this.
Right.
But what, like on a committee standpoint, 'cause I serve on a committee at one rodeo. That's a year-long job, man.
Oh, absolutely.
As soon as that rodeo's over with on Saturday night, come Monday, we're already getting stuff ready for the next year. So you know, shout out to the committees
Yeah.
for all the hard work.
No, absolutely.
You know, our livelihood
Depends on those
is
folks.
based on a group of volunteers
That's right.
that don't get paid.
And if they have vacation days, they take it for the rodeo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, what else could you do? I mean,
So not just on our part, there's a lot of prep work that goes into a rodeo.
Shout out to every single
Every
committee
night.
member that volunteers their time.
Yeah.
right.
Let's take a quick break. Throw a shout out to the sponsors. We'll be right back.
All right.
Big shout out to all of the sponsors here at the Bird's Eye View and the Stony Rock Productions. We'd like to thank each and every one of you. Without all of you great sponsors, we could not do what we do. And that's stay on Rock and Roll 30. All right, welcome back with the boys. Jasper, Texas is warm, ain't it?
It is a little warm.
Oh, West Texas and Ronald Burton, the man that lives all over the road.
Still hanging there.
So we were talking a little bit earlier about guys that influenced us, made us who we are. Guy that I know that I didn't know, I'm going to say I got to know probably 10 or 15 years. I thought was the coolest dude ever rodeo.
Yeah.
Of course, we're talking about the founder of Flying Sea Rodeo, Rodeo, Oklahoma, the Will Cook.
Yeah.
Wes Huggins, I'm going to pass the mic to you, my friend. Let's hear
Oh
some Will
my
Cook
gosh.
stories.
Well, I'll tell you how I got started with Will. Is he came out and he brought Tom DeVick cattle to a rodeo one time, and I'll let that plane get by just a little bit. But I'll tell you what Will Cook did is we had a rodeo that it was wind was blowing. I was just kind of getting started. Speakers fell down. It was just, oh my gosh, just chaos. And I didn't know Will, but Will called me that next Sunday, and he said, "Wes, this is Will Cook of the Flying Sea Rodeo Company." And if you know Will Cook, Will had a cool way of talking. He always had a cool cigarette in his hand. And Will said, "I got a rodeo over here in Mineola, Texas. Do you know where that's at?" And I said, "Yes, sir." I had no idea where Mineola, Texas was. And he goes, "I need you to come over here and announce our rodeo." And we get all the way over there, and it was about an 11-hour drive for me. I got over there late at night, and we put on that rodeo. And what I liked about Will's, we didn't have a production meeting or nothing. Will gave me the sheet, and he said, "I'm going to tell you what I need you to do, Wes." And with a cigarette, he goes, "I need you to go out there and have fun for about 2 hours. And we are going to get in that truck, and we're going to get hungry, and we're going to get the hell out of here." Flick that cigarette. And I went, "That's it?" He goes, "That's it." Now, mind you, when you're first starting, everybody knows stock contractors yell and scream, and you're doing this wrong, you're doing that wrong. We got done with that first performance, and I looked down at Will, and Will did this. And if you know him, that's your sign. So we got done there, and Will called me that next Monday, and he goes, "Let me tell you something, son." He said, or boy, I tell you what, we got about 10 other rodeos. I'll have to go ahead and sign you up. And I said, "Yes, sir." I'd never had a contractor give me a list of rodeos, and he did. And we went all over with Will Cook. And we had what we called the A-team, because I'm just going to go ahead and say it. At that time, when Will brought his A-team, his boys and that crew, there was not another rodeo company that could hold what we were doing in that performance for 2 hours. Tickets were being sold. It was wild. We went to one rodeo one time, and an old man came to Will, and he goes, "Mr. Cook," he goes, "I went over there just a little bit ago during that rodeo, and there was 2 women up there dancing provocatively in the bleachers." Will got that cigarette. He goes, "Well, I apologize for that." He goes, "I'll tell you what we're going to do. Tomorrow we'll have about 10 or 15 of them." And he flicked that cigarette and walked away. And I was like, man, that guy's cool. And he he taught me how to, from the way that you open the gate when the grand entry starts, you never open the gate to the arena. You open that gate towards you. There's people have got to be one step ahead. You do not walk to the other end. You run to the other end. And just little things of, he taught me that if I'm having fun, these people are going to have fun. And he said, do never, ever talk above those people. And I really took that to heart, because my goal really and truly is to educate these people, but to let them think that when they hear Wes's voice, we're fixing to have fun, we're back at home, settle in, this is fixing to be good. And I think that he taught me that. He taught me the love of bucking horses and things like that, and also how to handle a committee. You know, and he taught me that those committees, like Ronald just said, are the volunteers that run us, that keep us going, the livelihood. He used to have a decal on the back of his trailer that said, support your local rodeo. It means even more today. Support your local rodeo. It don't matter how big it is, support it, because America's going to be, we're going to talk to God and we're going to have fun. Where else can you get that? Nowhere. And so that was really cool. But we did play some pranks on each other. It was a good time. I'll tell you one quick story about Will Cook. We had a 3 rodeo run, and I had the 5th wheel, and as a lot of people know, about 90% of my rodeos, my family's with me. I just bought this 5th wheel.
The driving force.
The
driving force.
The rock. But we were following around. I can't remember what 2 rodeos we were going to, and it's like 3 in the morning. And I'm behind Will, and I'm behind them stock trailers, and I mean, we got a convoy going, and I thought that was no thing cooler in the world, you know. And Will calls me, and he's in that truck, and he goes, Wes, this is Will Cook. He said, yes, sir, what's up? Is that you behind me in that big old white trailer? And I said, yes, sir. He goes, will you do me a big favor? And I said, yes, sir. He said, would you back up just a little bit off that truck? And I said, yes, sir. Are the headlights hitting your mirror? He goes, no, sir. We are a rodeo company, but with that damn trailer you got, we look like a damn carnival. Back up. And hung up the phone. And so I leaned back, and there we all went. And from then on, I never followed him ever again, but I'll never forget, we look like a dang carnival going down the road. Would you back up? So that was always fun to me.
I remember in the 80s, man. So I was born in 79. This is sometime, I was probably 10 years old. We're going to say it's probably late 80s. And we're leaving Oberlin, Louisiana. And the big trucks and the goosenecks are falling in line right behind the Ferris wheel and the scrambler. And my old man looks at me and he said, you know, grew up my whole life wanting to do this. I said, what, rodeo? You know, the excited kid, he said, no, be a damn carny, man.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
And I think it was your dad that said, you know, the only difference between us and carnies is that we dress better and bathe more often.
Amen. Amen.
Yeah.
Oh,
man, Dad's another one. He thought the world of Will Cook. You know, Dad, he liked to be pretty slick too. So, you know, him and Will,
oh, yeah.
Good thing was geographically, I guess Louisiana from Oklahoma, they never had to get in each other's territory enough to really not like each other a whole lot, you know.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, he's one man that I absolutely thought the world of. I know you were closer to him than I was. You spent a lot of time with him.
Oh, we did.
That's a pretty awesome man right there. That his legacy will always live on, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I don't know anybody else that could smoke a cigarette cooler than that guy. And I know everybody.
I try.
I know.
mean, I go through a lot trying, you know.
Oh, I know. Well, I'll tell you what he used to do to me is he would tell me down there in that outgate, and a lot of committees, if you're watching this, y'all are going to know this. And you'd look down and say, Will, about how much further you needed? He'd look up and he'd go, you're about 2 cigarettes away from showtime. And I don't know why that is so cool, and I'm not advocating everybody needs to smoke, but that was the coolest guy, and the way he could hold that cigarette. But if he ever bit down on that cigarette, we were all in trouble at the end of that rodeo. So those are the little things
that was the telltale.
That was the telltale.
Man, maybe that's my thing, you know. I never know why I do it. You know, I always think just the good Lord just puts this path in front of us, you know.
Absolutely.
But maybe the people that weren't fortunate enough to meet Will Cook, the younger generation, maybe just one of them will be like, that dang Jaybird can smoke a cigarette cooler than
That's
anybody
right.
ever seen. Like,
That's
that's
right.
You know, that would be enough for me.
Oh, yeah.
So, speaking of being enough for us, like the Cowboy Channel, Mr. Wes Huggins, do you have your own documentary yet?
No, I do not. No.
What about the man in the can? So,
Yes.
Ronald Burton, first of all, tell everybody where they can get it before we start talking about it.
Okay, well now, all right, so it was on, I think, well first it came out on DVD. You could order a DVD. And then it was on Amazon Prime for a while. But now it's available on YouTube free of charge.
Free of charge on YouTube.
On YouTube, man.
I'm gonna try to get that to the Stony Rock channel and somehow get that link to it too, to where they can watch it on my channel.
Yeah, I tell you, man, It was a cool thing for me.
Man, what?
I mean, it's
How
just
many
been
years did it take, first of all?
3.5 years.
3.5 years.
Of filming about every rodeo we went to, and to get 45 minutes of content. You know, but it's just being in the right place at the right time. The way that came about. So when I first came to Texas, I had quit fighting bulls. I felt like I was a little too old to fight bulls. I thought, man, I'll come over here and I'll be, you know, I'd already started clowning some rodeos back home.
Give us an age. How old were you?
Let's
Roughly.
see. I was probably 33 when I came to Texas, something like that. And I thought, you know, I was already clowning some rodeos back home, and I
And
thought,
this is 2005 or 4? 2004.
and I thought I was the best rodeo clown in the country. I thought I'd go bust Texas wide open. They never seen nothing like me. I come to Texas, I about starved there, man, that first year. I didn't get hired for a rodeo for a year. And so I went back to fighting bulls. And believe it or not, got my PRCA deal when I was 35. And
They got that cocaine over here?
when I was 35, got my PRCA fighting bulls. Too dang old to fight bulls. But anyway, I was living just south of Fort Worth, and in the wintertime I would go up there to the Stockyards Rodeo, fight bulls, just stay in shape, whatever, and they hired me to clown a little bit. So that's kind of where I got my feet wet in Texas, clowning rodeo. Well, there was a TV show coming through Fort Worth to film. That was this TV show deal. Well, the Stockyards being a tourist deal, you know, that's naturally gonna. And
What
they
an
said,
awesome building to be in, by the way.
man, historic.
Yeah.
I mean, how cool is that
Some
place?
bad to the bone.
I even read something where Elvis performed there one time, man.
I've got to flank horses there and then win the bronc ride on one of our horses. That's the highlight. I've never got that announcer funny, man, but I've had a little cool times in that building myself.
And so this TV show approached the manager of the Stockyards there and said, "Hey, we want to come in and film. We need a rodeo clown." And he said, "We got just a guy for you." And why he thought of me, I'll never know. So I went in and did their TV show deal. They interviewed me for about 20 seconds, and I fought one bull. And one of the producers of that said, "Hey, look, when we get the finished product," she said, "I'll get you a DVD of this." I'm thinking, y'all are from Hollywood, Los Angeles. I'll never hear or see you. A year later, that lady contacted me, and she had that DVD, and I thought, wow, somebody, you know, I just never thought they'd keep the
And the lady was who?
Noessa Higa. And so she'd never been around a horse, bull, or anything like that. Well, in that TV show, they were up around Amarillo, and they went to a ranch that had a ranch rodeo team, and they kind of filmed up there, and she just got intrigued with that type of lifestyle. And she called me when she was up there. She was going to do a project with them, and I got to teasing her. She said, "You know, I'm going to this ranch rodeo," and I got to teasing her, and I said, "Well, you need to go where the real cowboys are. You know, don't hang out with them sissies at that ranch rodeo." Just kidding. And she took me up on it. She said, "Hey, I'm going to detour my trip back to L.A. Can you get permission for me to film at this rodeo?" I was going to Burnet, Texas. I was friends with the committee, so I called them and kind of said, "Hey, this lady..."
Beautiful hill country.
Yeah. And they agreed to it, and she came and filmed that first rodeo, and she's like, "Oh my God," just like we was talking about earlier, I had no idea what goes into all this. So she just started coming and hanging out and filming 3.5 years later. We didn't know what we were going to try to do with this. She just wanted footage. And she and I were talking one day, and I said, "You know, I'm ready to quit fighting bulls because I'm getting more jobs being a clown. You know, I'm going to get out of fighting bulls." And I said, "I'm going to try to get my PRCA card as a barrel man." And I said, and I kind of told her about the process. She goes, "There's our story right there." So that's kind of what it's about. It started from back when I used to ride bulls, all the way up through my bullfighting until I got my PRCA card as a barrel man. And the cool thing about it, I told her, I said, "Look, we'll do this, we'll have fun, but when it comes to rodeo stuff, it has to be 100% authentic,
Right.
or I'm not doing it." And she said, "Not a problem." And she held true to that, man. She came to my hometown, Philadelphia, Mississippi, and she interviewed my family. The thing about it, I was not allowed to be there when any of that took place. I had no idea what was asked. I had no idea what was said until I watched the film for the first time. And so that's how real it is, man.
Yeah.
Like,
I was there. I seen a lot of the footage.
Yeah.
I mean, or was there while it was being filmed. Man, I got entertained. I was fortunate, man. I got to see you really when you own Texas, man. Like that. Like I'll say it. I mean, I know you'll never say it. That's a reality. I know you probably may not even admit it to yourself, but that's reality, man. And that was a cool experience for me. Just watching the crew follow you along, the work she was putting into it, what you put into it. I mean, they got Charlie John Coffey on video interviewing.
Yeah,
that's a task.
Saying something. but man, I tell you, you know, a lot of people give me crap about it. Oh, movie, huh? Boy, you got. I'll be straight up honest with you and everybody else. I didn't make one red penny on it. That was not the goal. You know, I told her, I said, if it does good and makes a whole bunch of money, you can give me some of it.
Little brother.
And but that wasn't the purpose of it, man.
Anybody that would say that though would have jumped all over that opportunity if they would have presented it to them. No matter what they say, like there's jealous people, that's haters in this world.
Well, that was man, that was the thing. She came up to me. We were probably 2 or 3 months into filming. She said, "I need to talk to you about something." And I said, "What's that?" She said, "Throughout this whole deal, because the first goal was to make it a reality TV show, and that was going to be filmed weekly. Problem was, only TV shows with multiple characters, like your Duck Dynasty, your Swamp People, stuff like that. That's what was selling at that point. There was no single character shows, and I didn't work with the same crew every week, so they couldn't establish a character base. So, but she came to me and she said, "What I need to talk to you about is you've never mentioned money in this." I said, "Why would I?" She said, "Well, if somebody's going to be on a TV show, they want to know how much money they're going to make." And I said, "I'm not trying to make my living being on TV. I'm trying to make my living rodeo."
Right. Hey, if it's done right, I know you, Ronald. On a personal level, I know the person you are, so I know how you feel when it comes to that. At the end of the day, let's be honest, if it's done right, the benefits will come. We don't need this to make us any money. Guess what? Has it gotten you a job or two along the way?
That's exactly
Probably.
right. I've booked rodeos that I never would have had a second look at. You know, they wouldn't have looked at me twice if it hadn't have been for that. And the coolest thing about it, man, my family is forever captured on film.
Right.
And I know what their true feelings are about what I do.
Right.
So
That was the
priceless.
coolest part. I
That's
like
pretty
that.
deep right there.
That's priceless to
Yeah,
me, man.
I agree.
That's pretty
And
awesome.
the other thing is, because honestly, it made a pretty good impact on the film festival circuit. It won several awards and all. Nothing to do with me. It was her hard work and her editing skills and her piecing this thing together. But everywhere, especially in California, it got a whole new fan base for the sport of rodeo. Everybody that watched it when it was showed them deals, everybody, general consensus, hey, I want to go see a rodeo. Man, if we can't preserve this sport that's affording us this lifestyle, you know, if we can't do our part to preserve it, then what's the purpose of doing it? I mean, what have we done that's good? You know?
I agree.
So I love the way they said it. You agree with it?
I agree. 100%.
What I love about it is forever. Our great buddy. People got a small glimpse into the real life of it. And for that, man, the history of the sport of rodeo and film is better. From the bottom of my heart,
You
Ronald
know,
Burton.
a question I get asked a lot, like go to radio stations or newspapers or whatever, and you may get asked this too. What is your favorite part of rodeo? My number one answer is the people. It is the people. It is the people that I sat here with. It's the lifelong friendships that I made.
You can't explain that to anybody.
You
No.
can't. And right down to the people that buy these tickets to come into these arenas. It's amazing at the people you meet along the way.
Absolutely.
And I believe that the man upstairs, God Almighty, puts us in positions. Man,
Yep.
you gotta be careful what you talk to him about.
That's right.
If you ask him for something
Hey,
and
word.
he gives it to you, you better be prepared to reach out and take a hold to it, because man, one of them, not to get just at the pulpit or nothing, but one of the things I pray for is the ability to make a difference in somebody's life.
Right.
And you wouldn't believe the number of times over the years when I'm in that clown makeup and I'm in them silly clothes, total strangers will walk up to me and start telling me about stuff that's going on in their life. And that's the man upstairs saying, "Okay, buddy, you want to make an
You
impact?
made a difference.
There it is.
Here it is. So you better be ready."
The time you've always allowed for everybody, man, before rodeos and after rodeos is another thing I admire about you, Ronald. Me and Wes don't have that. We unplug, we go downstairs, hell, we got to talk to a few people on the way down. Everybody wants to talk to Ronald after the rodeo. Just
Well,
that
they
1
do.
second to better brighten their life up. And you take the time every single time to anybody that wants that time with you, you're willing to give, man. That's admirable.
It don't cost a nickel to be nice.
I love that,
That's
man.
the way.
right.
And the thing is, and I'm not going to call any names, but I know of some that do the same thing that I do. When they're done,
They're done.
I'm going to my trailer. I'm not talking. Man, if we don't take time for them little kids that come up, if we don't make them kids feel special, or give them a high five, give them an autograph, whatever. You think about it, man. That could be the turning point to whether or not that kid is ever going to serve on a committee that tries to preserve
right.
this spirit.
I was really interested in doing anything with it, absolutely.
Yep. Man, it's
Man, as we're talking about, I mean, we can knock on the rig right here and get my wife out here. She used to get so aggravated because whenever it happens how it's supposed to happen. That's how life, you just got to believe. And she would wonder why I wouldn't worry when we were broke, when I didn't have a job. Like it's going to all fall into place like it's supposed to. I'm going to transition that into I think all down, one of our heroes. What about my man Walker Huggins?
he's one of mine, man.
Huh?
He's one of mine.
So, me and Wes, we talked about it a second or two in our lives. We talked about it even before we pressed the record button, man. So, Walker, well, we all think's the biggest blow in the matter of a day. Wes can tell you what it felt like to him. I mean, and Gary, I can only imagine. You couldn't put it into words, but what an inspiration to each and every single person that knows any Huggins in that family.
Oh, yeah.
Not even having to personally know Walker, if they followed his story, man. Like, Ronald, I'm gonna start with you. How amazing is not only that kid, his family,
Oh,
his
look,
twin brother.
it's that's the toughest question, really, man, because there's no way to put into words to describe this family. I've been knowing the boys.
I'm sweating. I promise I'm sweating. Okay.
They're 17 now. I bet I've been knowing them since they were 8.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Somewhere right along in there, and to watch those boys grow up. And the thing about this family is, man, they invite me into their house like I'm supposed to live there. That kind of thing. But so I've seen behind the scenes, even before Walker started going through, the bond that this family has. It's like second to none. And
So they were getting built up for this, right?
they were
Bingo.
They were getting built up for this, and
Yeah.
and to see how tight they were even before this, when West called me and told me what was going on, I didn't say a whole lot about it. I mean, I talked to him and I listened to him when he needed, but I didn't say a whole lot because I never doubted that they wouldn't get through this as a family.
Right.
That they have that bond that nothing was gonna break apart. And I'm sure they had their times, but man, just to see how they handled this it's just kind of like his announcing, they made it look easy.
Made it look easy.
And that's a testament.
Walker made it look easy for
That's
certain.
a testament to
Right.
our belief and the
Yes.
love they have for each other. And what was so cool to me is for them to finally get to see the love that people have for them. They get to see the impact
Yeah.
that they've made that they didn't even know they made when people came together for that, man.
That's exactly right.
And
I didn't have the words when I first called him, to talk to him.
Yeah.
I didn't have the words for it. I still made the call.
I'm
Yeah.
be the first. I'm not good at that kind of
No.
stuff. And
Yeah.
it
Oh, yeah.
may come across. Oh, hey, I don't give a crap.
Yeah.
Because I'm not one to call
That's
every day.
You can ask
'Cause
anybody in the world of rodeo that's just not me to reach out to you. I mean, not only West,
Right, right.
Carrie, the boys, I mean, they mean that much. Not to me, but I mean, the list is probably, just overwhelming.
But just some of the stuff, and I mean, I'm not going to go into detail about But some of the stuff that this man told me that Walker was saying during this process and along the process, and I'm like, man, why can't I be like Walker Huggins?
That's right.
You know, if something was to happen, I couldn't handle it like him.
No.
No.
No, that was.
that
When
right
I
there-
say an inspiration to, I mean, that's not a play on words. I don't know if I'd have the strength. Who do I go to? You know, I mean,
Yeah.
as a parent, you have to be proud. I mean, that has to make you more proud than anything they've ever accomplished. I mean, he's a hell of a second man. I mean, like, if that doesn't make you proud, you know,
Well, I'm
it to me, it's Walker's. I think both the boys were put here for a path of they're special kids. From the time I've known since they were fighting mutton busters.
yeah.
So I think Walker understands that. They're 17 years old. You know what I understood at 17 years old?
Oh,
Thought I knew it all, didn't know shit.
Yeah.
yeah, I was the smartest guy in the room when I was 17 years old. Well, I'll tell you, and it's the thing that gets you on that deal is when that happened, and if everybody doesn't know, Walker had a baseball-sized tumor in his brain and a ping pong ball size, and he had a dime size in his spine. And everything's great now. I mean, I got to tell everybody it's great, but the feelings of when that happened was like something I've never been through, and I don't wish it on anybody. But the thing about it is when we were, they were taking him to Cook Children's, and it's 4 a.m, and I can tell you that Ford truck, when old mirrors were pointed back, Trevor was with me, and I called Carrie, she's in the ambulance, and I said, I hate to tell you this. And I said, I'm not worried about the money. I'm not worried about anything. But I said, we got to get some prayers going. And I apologize for that. Golly, that was wrong. But the thing about it was, that thing went viral. All I wanted was prayers for Walker. And that doctor asked us, when we got there, they said, do y'all have anybody here? And I'm very proud to be part of Rodeo, but to listen to like Carrie say something, my wife, when they said, do you have any support here? My wife says, we got support all over the state. We'll be fine. And they said, okay, well, we can do this, do that, and everything. And then it didn't set in what was going on until we got into the room where they were before Walker went into surgery. And I remember walking with Carrie, and there was a room full of like 30 doctors. It felt like, I don't know how many there was, but there was all these doctors in this room. And I looked at Carrie and I said, golly, I'd hate to be that kid's parents right now. And she goes, I know. And that's right where Walker went. And I just looked down. You kind of know my wife. She hits me about right here. And I just looked down and she goes, don't you start crying. I'm not. Well, look what I'm doing right now. But
It's hot in Jasper.
it's hot in Jasper right in my eyes. But Walker went through there, just kicked their butt. But we knew that Walker was tough when they told us that he had medulloblastoma. And we're in that room with some other doctors. And they said, do you have any questions? And he very solemnly sat there and he goes, I've got one question. Can y'all tell me why I got this? I said, well, Walker, there's no real reason of medulloblastoma why you get it. It's not from anybody smoking. It's not anything you ate. It's not hereditary. We just don't know. And he sat there in front of all of them and he said, well, I know why I got this. He said, God gave you this. And as a dad, you're like, I thought he was mad at God. But he said, God's going to use me for this to teach other people. Well, then your heart sinks right then. Now, when you're 40-some years old going through that, you're mad. And he had every reason to be mad, but he wasn't. But one of my favorite stories, and I
He
told you this.
understood that then. But
He
I was just
understood it
talking
right
about
then. And there's a whole long story, and you can read about him. A friend of ours started the Now for Walker, because if y'all been around, Walker's the biggest fan, so is Trevor. They can tell you more about in that arena than I can. They can tell you every horse, they can tell you every cowboy, and they're going to get a recap.
After a long, long time.
Yes, they're going to tell you everything. But the thing that got us, and if you want to talk about it, like you just said just a second ago, and you did too, the good Lord's going to put you in the right place at the right time. And like I told you a moment ago, that second surgery, that doctor said, I hope that y'all talk to Walker all that you could, because when he comes out of the surgery, he's not going to be the same. Well, what do? You go to praying and hoping that you're going to see your little boy again the way that he was. And when Walker walked out, was wheeled out of that hospital room, And they said, Walker, how you doing? He put his thumbs up. Said, I'm fine. The doctors and nurses looked over at us and said, that's not supposed to be happening. So it's a whole deal. But I'll tell you what.
It's the J.B. Moonies of the world and those
Yes.
guys that
Yes.
those boys just looked up to. And guess what, man? They got some fight. I mean,
Let me tell you this, and I don't want to go any further because I know everybody don't want to hear about it, but here's the deal about it. When everybody says, how do you get through this? It was God and rodeo. And every rodeo person that I know, it was something. They either texted, they said something. You don't know what that's like if you're in there. And I'm going to tell everybody that's listening, everybody that's watching, when you know somebody going through something, the easiest thing you can do is say, buddy, I'm right here if you need something. That's all that you got to say, because it is amazing what that does. You don't need anything half the time. You just need a prayer. And if anybody ever doubts that prayer doesn't work, I've got a kid I want you to meet.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but
Having that relationship with that man is what matters.
that is.
That is what matters.
That is. But I'll tell you this, though. He's going to be 18 in August. And I hate to tell you guys, but he's going to be getting his pro card, so let's just watch out.
Yes,
It's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Trevor's going to be doing his thing. So, I mean, that thing is in the past now.
Yeah, in the rear view.
You know them boys.
Yeah.
I know them boys. We both know, and even he knows, that that's two of the most talented, got the greatest imaginations and stuff.
Outside the box
outside
thinking.
the
At
box
their age
thinking.
and their creativity blows me away,
Yeah,
Ronald. You ain't
might
kidding.
not want to get any DNA testing.
I don't.
You may get
I
yourself hurt.
don't. I don't. Well, I always wondered when they were little why they'd hug the UPS man, but I don't know.
I was thinking they both act a little bit like Cameron. I
Yeah, I
didn't
don't
want to go
know.
there.
There's a few, I don't know. They used to do that, but I'll tell you, they have made me proud, and I tell you, but it's not just us. It is for all those years that carried them around to all those rodeos. Carrie and I aren't the only ones that raised them. Rodeo raised them.
Yeah.
You know, y'all know as well as I do. You can take a little kid to a rodeo, and there's 15 contestants going to pick up your little kid and take them with them.
Yeah.
You know, Walker and Trevor knew more about every little town than I did. Those kids could get me a free hamburger before I could go in and get a hamburger. And I mean, and it's not just my kids. I don't want everybody thinking that, but we are blessed
Yes.
to have this one.
Tell them the corn dog story.
Which corn dog
The one
story?
you told the other night when you told the guy, put it on my tab.
These little kids.
Did you hear
No,
that?
I didn't hear
Oh, man.
We're at Post, Texas, and they have a vendor called the Classic Caboose, okay?
TNT.
Yeah, TNT Rodeo. Shout out to Mitch Terrell. They just had a baby, so they got a miniature TNT now. So Trevor did, not
Yeah,
Mitch.
yeah, right,
Not
right.
Mitch.
Not Mitch.
Right.
Not Mitch.
I knew that Trevor was having one. I was fixing to come
yes,
to work.
congratulations to those guys.
Absolutely.
Great family, too.
Great family.
We're at Post Stampede, one of my favorite rodeos. And Classic Caboose got these corn dogs, and they just have vendors, no concession stands. And I went over there to Classic Caboose the first night, and I said, hey, can y'all do me a favor? I said, I got these two boys, the little blue-eyed boys. They weren't 6, 7 years old. I said, will you just start a tab for them so I don't have to keep giving them money and all that? Oh, absolutely. Well, that's great. Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, I go over there and I get me another corn dog and a good old cherry limeade. And I said, by the way, let me go ahead and take care of that tab. And that guy goes, all right, that's going to be $172. What? Those boys, when they went and got their first corn dog, the guy goes, don't worry about it, boys. He didn't tell them he had a tab. They thought they were eating for free. They took every committee kid over to the Classic Caboose for corn dogs every night of the rodeo and said, it's okay, we get them for free. Yeah,
I
no
love
more.
that story, man.
No more.
I know how Wes Huggins is. I love that story.
God.
So I like to always end it with the Be Cool segment. I want to throw this week's Be Cool Trevor Huggins way. Be cool. Because if you need lessons on how to be cool, look up Trevor Huggins. That dude, man, look. When I say cool, for the time they were little, and Wes knows this, and I think I told you this, Ronald, the only way I could tell them apart is because Walker was always like, have a step behind Wes, like wanting to do it, and like, here was Trevor scooting on the back end real cool and slow. You know, he even had the Will Cook walk without a cigarette to him.
Yeah.
Man, if you need to know how to be cool, that's my dude right there. Be cool
Yeah.
like Trevor Huggins.
I agree.
too.
That kid, cooler than the other side of the pillow. Just ask him.
You just ask him.
Man, what I love so much about Trevor, he's quiet.
Oh, yeah.
If you
Oh,
don't know
yeah.
him, you
Both
know
of them are quiet. Yeah.
But the coolest thing about Trevor and working more rodeos with him last year, to me it was really cool because I'm finally into Trevor and walking cool.
Yeah.
It took me a few years.
It's hard.
It took me a few years to get in there, but I knew I was in because, you know, Walker wasn't able to be with us at these rodeos, but Trevor was, and something would happen just nonchalant. Trevor would ease up to me and kind of whisper something.
Yeah.
And it'd just crack you up. I mean, but just the coolest delivery of it.
Super talented, man. He's super talented. His videos, like it. I scroll through a lot of stuff, man. I don't scroll through one of his without checking it out. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, got his first commercial on the Cowboy Channel this year.
Oh, sweet.
And so we're proud of it.
Congratulations, yeah.
Heck
Yeah.
Shout
So,
out
y'all got any big cools?
Man, I tell you, first off, I want to be cool like Jay Bird every once in a while because here's the deal. Do you know anybody else that could just be cool like that? Because first off, he's so cool that when he's on the phone, my wife knows I'm talking to him because I end up talking like him halfway through the son of a gun. But Jay Bird has always been cool from day one,
Thank you, brother.
from the UPRA rodeos and the UPRA finals. I always remember how cool he was and just kind of giggling. And if I ever had a little bitty joke, you were the very first one to catch up on it. So I had to figure out how to stump Jay Bird.
Yeah.
Man, and I second that. I mean, even when that dude's mad, he's smiling.
I know it.
I mean,
I
But you
know.
know, from time to time, we're just a little aggravated. I get
right.
diva sometimes too.
Yes.
I see some of that.
Yeah.
but hey, I mean, I agree. That is a cool dude.
Yeah.
Always
I
has
appreciate
been.
it, fellas.
Has always had a kind word to say
Yep.
to me, to you, to everybody.
And I'm not scared to let my people know I love them.
That's
I'm
right.
just not that guy, you know. And guess what? There's a lot of guys that do what we do. And once you get to a certain level, I've noticed that I've lost friends even.
Yeah.
You know, it's the guys that, man, we were buddies before we got into all this, and once we got into it, we're doing the same thing, man. Guess what? It's loving, living, and laughing. It's life,
right.
baby. We got important shit to worry about.
That's right. That's exactly
Yeah,
right.
don't sweat the small stuff.
Don't sweat the small stuff.
How about just don't sweat?
Welcome to Jasper, Texas.
Yeah.
I got to use my announcer voice for the only time today,
my
so.
God. Yeah.
But hey, I
Yeah.
appreciate it, guys, man. This was a blast.
I'm supposed to be the clown and shooting the breather. I got serious on this deal.
Yeah,
I know.
man.
What the heck?
I got deep on
He
this a few
he didn't
times.
tell us we were going to do this. Hey, Wes, it's just an easy little podcast. Here I
Hey,
am balling over
Be
here.
cool, you know. Real good time.
Yeah.
We got to just be cool.
Yeah, it's sneaky.
Yeah. Hey, one more last shout out we got. We can even edit out recording. We're not going to end without 18 times. Throw a shout out to our girl JJ Hampton one big time, huh?
How
Oh,
about that? You talking about a cool lady? You
No.
cool? You talk about
The
a cool
best.
lady, man. Like JJ's always been super nice to me, but the coolest thing, one of the coolest things about JJ Hampton, and like she'll rope her calf, catch her or miss. She's gonna pump that crowd up.
what did I say the other day?
And she's gonna ride around and she's gonna high five every kid, grown up, whatever, that wants to stand up and reach over that fence. One year at the CBRA finals, she roped, come back down the fence, and you know, and at that arena, I stand over in the corner during the breakaway roping. I mean, they're roping for a lot of money there, you know. I ain't gonna get what. She comes down that fence, rides up beside me, reaches down, grabs me by the shirt, pulls me in and said, "Let's get a picture." And I thought that was one of my coolest moments. in
I got
rodeo.
some big cool pictures of JJ over the years. My highlight, maybe in all of rodeo, one year at the UPRA finals, she asked me before the first perf if I'd push her calf. Pushed it for every go round, never got fired. Pretty legit.
That's pretty intense.
Pretty
That's pretty
legit.
good.
Yeah.
You said you was nervous last night
Oh,
with my sound effects.
yeah.
That should
I
have
was
made
nervous.
you nervous, man.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
She's the best, though, man. I
She-
know everybody in the circle loves her. Of course, anybody that's ever met her one time or even hadn't met her, they still love her.
Oh yeah.
Well, and the thing about it is if JJ tells you something, take it to heart.
Yeah.
I have never seen
Facts
anybody
of
that can
life.
build more champions if they will just listen to what JJ has to say, because forget everything you know about breakaway roping. If you will rope like JJ, you're going to be the top. And the
Yeah.
reason why, she knows how to win.
Yeah.
It's not about roping. She knows how to win.
Yep.
And does it with class and makes it fun.
Oh,
Well,
those were class,
it,
man.
she is a big portion, if not 90% in my eyes, of why the breakaway had gotten so popular. because JJ was one of the top that made it popular, and she still makes it popular. And I know right now that if we called her right now, she would. What do y'all need?
Yeah.
What can we do?
No doubt about it.
So
No doubt about
yeah,
it.
let's be cool like JJ.
Let's be cool like JJ. Tough
JJ
work.
and Trevor.
Yeah,
There
tough
you
work.
go.
Yeah.
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 I'm gonna try to be cool like Jay Bird.
Okay.
I will. At
Make
least for the
us-
rest of this day.
Yeah. Hashtag. Here.
All right, fellas. Appreciate it.
Man,
Much love.
thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Yep. The bird's eye view.
That's right.
Big thank you to everybody who joined us on this episode of Bird's Eye View. Big thank you to West Huggins and Ronald Burton, two of my great friends and heroes. See you down the trail.
I burned up my childhood days. I learned all the rules of a modern day drifter. Don't you hold on to nothing too long. Just take what you need from the ladies that leave them with the words of a sad country song. My hero